Season 5 is over, but the trailer for Season 6 is already here, which gives us huge hope that the season will be coming a lot sooner than we thought.
We have embarked on a new way of life here.
You must all prepare for another attack.
With the change of power from Ivar to Bjorn in Kattegat, there is a lot to clean up in Season 6. Ivar was a tyrant who focused all power on him, but Bjorn doesn't want to rule that way at all. As Ivar told us in this season, Ragnar ruled by sharing power and not putting himself above others. And Bjorn wants to embody that again with his rule, but it may be a lot more difficult than it was with Ragnar. For one, he has a lot of people competing for his power like Harold and Olaf and Vixid, not to mention that I think that all of Part A of Season 6 will be consumed by Ivar's revenge to get back at Bjorn. As the seer said right at the end, the war is not over. Though it does seem that Lagertha will be a staunch ally of Bjorn and be at his side again for the rest of hopefully all of Season 6. Already she's forming another band of kick-ass and more serious shield maidens, and from what it looks further on in this trailer, it seems she's going to be involved in lots of battles.
We shall unleash our forces against our brothers.
So as we suspected, Ivar has fled to Russia to rebuild his forces. This shot shows us a really awesome new place we're going to discover and flush out in Season 6. We see that traditional design that's very common to this area, with everyone in fur coats and there's lots of snow everywhere, so we have a huge potential to have tons of new characters and culture and ideas come to Vikings we've never had before. It'll also be really interesting to see Ivar flip his role in this world, where he was the ruler, the tyrant, the god, all person, everyone had to bow down to him. But now we get to see him as subservient to others, having to manipulate himself back into power, work with others, and be humble. He's truly gonna have to start from the bottom and work his way up all again. So the dialogue we get here is Ivar saying, "We should unleash our forces on our brothers." Conveniently, Vikings has made the person he's talking to blurt out, so we have to make guesses around what he said to who it could be. At first I was like, wait, there's another son of Ragnar that doesn't hate him, that's willing to work with him, but then it's more likely that they've both got separate brothers that are working in the same camp. Maybe this person here is a brother to King Olaf. We've only had a few real good scenes with King Olaf, and a lot of his backstory is a big mystery. This leaves a big open for Vikings to introduce a brother figure that he has a feud with, that he wants to take down, and this conveniently gives Ivar another ally out of nowhere. Now I know a lot of you are really big into the history of this part of the world, especially around Russia and stuff, so if you know some potential really good candidates that could fit this role, then tell me in the comment section below. Next we see what could be the beginnings of a really big battle. There are an immense amount of ships coming in, loaded with troops. They seem to be landing and rushing straight onto the beach where there is a line of probably a shield wall of enemy forces. Now right in the beginning of this pan, we see a character standing right to the left, just aside of him, and he's kind of watching over the battle. And we get another shot right afterwards of Bjorn on a beach surrounded by dead soldiers after the battle's kind of calmed down. So this could be the first encounter we get of Ivar's revenge as he tries to throw an army at Bjorn, but probably fails. Like, coming straight off your boat off a long journey, trying to rush through water without any formation isn't exactly the best plan or spot to find, so it's possible that Bjorn caught them with some scouts or something and had his army ready when they were trying to land and put them in a really bad situation where he could win the battle off that. Now we can't really know any of the details for sure at this point, but we do see that Bjorn will be facing some very big trials in his reign as king. I very much see this being a theme of the entire season. The whole "you must lower yourself to be able to grab power," that speech we got from Ragnar, is going to be very important playing forward into Season 6. Bjorn's never been the type that wants to roll in the mud with the other kind of deviant, backstabbing, horrible, power-hungry people. It's more his drive to explore and see new things and reach new heights that really made him go places, not just having an immense amount of influence and power, because he's always had that since Ragnar's been really famous. So can't wait to see them build on all of that we got in the previous season and how it really plays out.
Then we are not only fighting for ourselves, but for our gods!
He died for all of us.
Alrighty, so we got this really awesome speech from Bjorn. He's really hyping up his troops for some kind of battle. He's really taking his role as king. We get a whole bunch of shots of really important characters in Season 6 glaring into the camera. Uber, Grinhild, Harold, Lagertha, Bjorn, and a really precarious shot of Vixid. We get a wider shot seeing this wall of fire and another increasing wall of fire caging in what seems a bunch of people in water. Furthermore, they seem to be in some kind of cave as everything's dark apart from the fire, and it does not look like they're in a good situation in the slightest. Now when we got the shot of Viksid, he has bloodshot eyes, his face is like bloody and pale, and he's got fire all behind him. This is important because Viksid's historical death is recorded in some places to be death by fire. Now we don't know if Vikings is tricking us yet again with some kind of vision that isn't real, we don't know if these two shots are linked in any way, shape or form, and I can't place where this is at all. But we do know at least one crazy pyromaniac that loves experimenting with fire. So I don't expect the season to be backing down with the brutality and the dark themes and the huge amount of death at all. Actually, I think they'll ramp it up. Vikings hasn't been renewed for any more seasons beyond season 6, so we get 20 episodes and that's it. That means every storyline from Bjorn to Ivar will have to be wrapped up. We'll see many of the main, direct cast die. All the characters I thought were somewhat untouchable in season 5 are now very, very vulnerable. And now we'll get to see if Vikings actually decides to go with the historical deaths of these characters and bring them to places where they die how they recordedly died, or they choose their own path for these characters. Now there's a couple more really good shots I want to cover before we end off. Here we get to see these quite interesting new soldiers. They're quite heavily dressed in the snow, they've got this interesting kind of headwear that we kind of see more in Mongolia and Russia, and they're on horseback. So this definitely indicates that Ivar will be getting his new forces from that region. We get to see a shot of Ivar, he seems to be in some marketplace in that area, and a woman turns around and she's Freydis. Now for sure this won't be Freydis, this will be some girl who he mistakes for the very first few seconds of seeing her to be Freydis, and they'll kind of change out the actor. It'll be this whole like psychic, him remembering her and kind of haunting him as he goes round day to day. We all know the classic TV trope. So for sure we'll see Freydis as a vehicle then used to explore the kind of emotional and spiritual troubles he has as he adjusts to this new world and his new position in life and reevaluates his ambitions and goals. And we have this last little bit here of course with Lagertha saying he died for all of us. We have a shot of Torvi standing over these kind of deer antler things with her child looking very sad. And again, we see the deer antlers here with Lagertha. So there's tons of options for characters they could be talking about here. One, it could just be her finally getting around to remembering Heckman and what he did. Two, it could be way back to Ragnar and his death as she's finally faced that again. And of course, it could be Uber. We do have Torvi and her son standing right there. Uber was the one that fought and realized the new area in East Anglia. He's the one that was willing to convert and backed himself to make this thing happen. So it could make sense if this is the farming community he made that's kind of mourning his death. So we can't really tell if this is actually right or not, but we don't actually get that much of Uber in this trailer at all. Only a shot there or here of him looking at someone. Now there's a lot for Uber to do still, so I don't expect him to be killed off very quickly. It was quite clear that he was very icy towards Viksid when he came into the battle right at the end there. He's kind of following the story of Guthrum, which is a historical character that portrays Alfred, so that's a potential out there somewhere. And he still has this kind of spiritual struggle with him trying to rekindle his Norse roots. But like all of this trailer, it's really fun to speculate what could happen and how the characters can interact. It's super awesome that Vikings put out this trailer straight away, and it said coming soon, so I think we're only looking at probably a 8 to 9 month wait for the new season to actually come out. I'm pretty sure they've actually wrapped all of the filming, so they could have it just editing to go, so it's very likely they could pump this out whenever they want. So crossing my fingers, 2019. And as always, tell me all of your thoughts about what we've got for Season 6, as well as that awesome finale for Season 5. This season has been so awesome, and you guys have been so amazing to chat with and discuss and hear your ideas and theories all throughout this season. I couldn't have had a better community. Skull.